put our feet on the floor, go and conquer the day like a warrior, like warrior. Cause that's what a tribe does. We got your back so you can relax and focus on all the important stuff, like getting your business done. This is our tribe. We look out for each other. That's right, that's right. This is our tribe. We help each other grow in business and life. That's right, that's right. No need to panic anymore. We got lots of support and an army of warriors by our side. We fight the good fight when we unite. We fight the good fight when we unite. Cause that's what a tribe does. We got your back so you can relax and focus on all the important stuff, like getting your business done. This is our tribe. We look out for each other. That's right, that's right. This is our tribe. We help each other grow in business and life. That's right, that's right.
Perfectly timed with my last sip of tea. Absolutely excellent. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Coffee Shop Conversation show for your last Monday of April, which is not significant in any way, but it's still the end of the month and the end of the first third of the year, which is lovely, isn't it? As we get into slightly warmer climates if you're in a place like me, and presumably colder if you're in a place like 3/4 of everybody else on this call. But, so that's nothing to do with that. I'm James of James Brown Voice, your voiceover with soul. You know you have an incredible product, you know you give amazing service, and I'm here to make sure that everyone else does too. I am hosting, as always, with my partner in crime, Sondra Ray. How are you, Sondra?
I am good. I am good. At least where I am in the United States, it's decided to skip over spring and we are in summer. We are in the 80s, which may or may not stay, but yeah, the windows are open, the birds are singing, the sun is out. Well, yeah, I'm not going to say definitely we're there because, yeah, we had that like, I don't know, a week ago, and then 4 days later it was 40. So
if only you were using Celsius that anyone else could understand.
I know, I'm like, yeah, I'm speaking Greek to everybody. Sorry.
But that's hot. Hot.
Yes, it is hot.
Hot damn.
Right. I am Sondra. I'm the owner of Get It Done Coaching, and yes, I am the co-host and producer of the show. And we are talking today about pricing strategies, because you got to have a price for your services. How do you get to that price? And there's lots of opinions, formulas, so on and so forth on how to do that. And we're going to pick the expert's brain.
Pick your expert.
Pick the expert. We're going to pick the expert. And his birthday was yesterday, so belated birthday, Mr. Peter.
Oh, perfect.
Come on in.
Oh, awesome. Thank you very much. I think I'd like to start off this conversation by saying I'm not an accountant. In fact, I'm so dyslexic, you don't want me doing your accounting. I'm not a numbers person. I am not a marketing strategist. And everything that I'm going to base my opinion on this evening is going to be based on experience and experience alone. You know, in our space, we have dealt with multiple people and multiple products. And this seems to be the ongoing question. What do I charge for my product? What do I charge for my services? Now, it can be tricky, especially if you're in a market that's saturated with a product that is exactly the same as yours, which means we need to find what is the differentiating factor. What is different about my product that places it uniquely in front of the client? Because if we look at the strategies involved in finding what we charge, there are only two strategies. I mean, people can come up with all different kinds of scenarios, but at the end of the day, it all leads back to two different strategies. First strategy is cost plus profit. So it's a cost strategy. You are looking to make X amount of profit on top of what it costs you to manufacture or create the product. Then depending on the environment, whether you are moving quantity or whether you are moving it on a small scale or on a large scale, would depend which strategy you choose. So if you're using a cost plus profit, you probably are in the manufacturing space and you are probably relying on quantity to make your profit. Now, the next strategy would be value-based. So my product may be similar to other products, but what uniquely sets me apart and what is the client willing to pay? What is this worth to them? Now, I think the difference between the two strategies, and you can mix them up, you can actually utilize a value-based strategy in a space that relies on selling quantity, because then you're combining I'll actually use a very simple example. This is really simple. I've got it right next to me. It's a cover that goes on my helmet that makes me look like Elmo when I ride my motorcycle. This did not cost very much to manufacture. It didn't cost much at all. But what am I willing to pay for it? And why am I willing to pay so much for it? Well, let me tell you why. I am willing to pay so much for it because, number one, it makes my helmet really warm. I'm willing to pay for that. Number two, it blocks up the vents and prevents me from fogging up on rainy days. Absolutely brilliant. Number three, the smiles on people's faces when they see Elmo riding up the street on this hardcore chopper-looking motorcycle, all in black leather, and Elmo's head. It puts smiles on people's faces. People greet, they shout across the street, Elmo, when you're driving past. What is that worth to me? So I am willing to pay for something that may not have cost very much to manufacture, but what it's worth to me is more than the cost. So I'm willing to pay a good couple of $100 for an item that did not cost very much to manufacture. So this is where we've got to be really smart. If we are following one of the two strategies, whether it's cost plus profit or whether it's value-based, the trick is to find out which one you use and why. You have to understand why you use the strategy that you use. You can't just go into business and go, I just want to make a little bit of profit, and you don't know how you're getting that profit. And you don't know what people are actually willing to pay for your product, because then you haven't done your research. So before deciding between either of those strategies, you need to take the time. You need to take the time to figure out which strategy are you using. Why are you using that strategy? If you're using a value-based strategy, you need to understand why people would be willing to pay for the value of the product versus its cost. So this is where I would say the strategy of, and I'll take it back to a solution that we actually created a long time ago. Simply ask. Simply ask. It's not rocket science. You have a product. Your product is visible. Maybe you have people that use your product. You want to ask them questions. What do you get from using my product? How does my product make you feel? What problem does my product solve for you? What were the results of using my product? Were those results positive? Did this product achieve more for you than what I actually manufactured it for? Because maybe you manufactured it for a particular purpose, but this person using your product had these results. These are things you need to know before you can even dream of stepping into a value-based space. You can't just go, oh, well, I think this is what the value is, so I'm just going to charge this much. If you're not asking the right questions, you're not going to ask the right questions because you're not selling the product to yourself. you're selling the product to somebody else. So you need to understand what they value your product for. And that creates a space where you can step into the pricing strategy with a little bit of confidence, going, I know that the value of this product is exactly this, and this is what people are willing to pay for that value. Now, it doesn't matter if it is a physical product, whether it's a can of beans. It doesn't matter if it's a can of beans. It doesn't matter if it's a printed T-shirt. It doesn't matter if you are selling your personal services. If you are a coach, it doesn't matter what the product is. Even for a can of beans, how did eating this can of beans make you feel? Did it remind you of your childhood? Are these the original beans from way back when, and they taste the same, and people buy them because they taste like the original beans? Or is it just some new cheap brand? Or is it just, are you just looking to push quantity? What is the difference? You have to ask these questions. And I think asking the questions is part of the pricing strategy. It helps you figure out which strategy you're going to use. It's going to help you figure out why you're using that strategy, and it helps you to figure out whether or not that strategy is going to work. Obviously, understanding that spaces chop and change very quickly, you need to keep up with that. If you're in a space that has multiple products, then you want to understand why people would pay for the brand and not just each individual product. So obviously your products are branded. What do people feel like when they see your brand? What are people willing to pay when they experience your brand? Obviously you want to break it down into individual products, but you want to look at it from a broader perspective. So I think it's really important that we don't just thumb suck and guess. Don't do that. You will guess yourself out of the market, quite literally. Ask the relevant questions, utilize networking to do that. Maybe give a few people the experience of your product and ask for feedback. That feedback is valuable. It's all part of the strategy. It's not just as simple as going, I have a product, it cost me so much to make, so I'm going to charge so much. You haven't got all the information that you need to make an informed decision as to which strategy you're actually using. So when it comes to pricing strategy, take a breath. Start from the beginning. Work through it methodically. Create a list of questions that people that have used your product are willing to answer. Be direct. I'm looking for these answers because I'm looking to do this and establish my product in the market and understand the market and the pricing. Would you please answer these questions for me? You've experienced my product. You can make them feel important. Could you please use your expertise to help me understand the market and how I should price my product? People are more than willing to go, if you need my help, I will help you. This was my experience this is my answer to this question you've asked. This is the answer to that question you've asked. Once you have a whole bunch of people answering your questions, you can actually take a look at all the answers in a whole and go, there are some answers that really line up. I'm starting to see a pattern. I'm starting to see why there is value to this product and what people value about the product. Now you're making informed decisions. So before you just jump the gun and drop a price, be very specific. Ask specific questions to get specific answers, to get specific results. And I think that is just my general idea of a pricing strategy. I'm not going to stand here and tell you this strategy works. We have to find a strategy that works for you. And the only way to do that, ask questions, involve people, get relevant information from the people that are actually going to be using your product. Then you've got some real information to work with, and we can start then going in the right direction. But let's not suck our thumbs and try and just pull prices out of the sky. That doesn't work for a strategy. And I think from my side, that could be the beginning of quite the conversation, because obviously we all in this space have products. I know I have products. I know Mr. Levy is a product. I I know, Sondra, you've got products. James, you've got products. Lesetja, so do you. So I think it would be very interesting to see how everybody else went about a very similar process. And I think that's just how we roll out understanding pricing strategies and how we move forward. It's not a one size fits all. So that would be me, over and out. I'm glad I could deliver from my experience. Not that I'm the expert.
I love that, Peter. I would not discount that you do have expertise in this because you sell something. I think any of us that sell products and run a business, we have some expertise in pricing because we're pricing our stuff. We might not be able to tell you how to price yours, but we know what we priced in our business. Now, we might be failing, we might be profiting. I mean, definitely plays into that. I also like the fact that you talk about feeling, because I've had some people lately tell me there's no feeling in business. And I'm like, yeah, no, no, there is. So how I make you feel and how you make me feel does matter, as a client and as vice versa, client or, leader, I guess is the word I want to use, but I love that. I love that. Mr. Levy, welcome back. I have missed you. Come on in.
Hi, Sondra. Yeah, I also missed being on the show. I always miss a fabulous show. And yeah, just good learning so much from everybody. So there's always great topics like tonight's one. And there's no blueprint for this, as Pete said. But so many valuable points that Peter brought up. I've been fortunate to work in the manufacturing space, to selling actual products, and then being in the services industry. And yeah, as Pete said, they all take various forms of pricing, but even in those spaces, I think the product space and the manufacturing space, there's more of a benchmark for clients to measure against. I do say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek because we often need to make sure we can sell the same product, but are we comparing apples with apples? Because the one could be a very high quality product and the other one could be a low quality product. So it does the same. Well, on the outside, it looks to the client as if it does the same thing. But they might find out a couple of months or however long later that it's actually not. And there's that old saying, now I'm going to have to translate it, is, but cheap can be expensive. As I say in South Africa, goedkoop is duurkoop. So, and then I'm going to just touch a bit on so there you have a benchmark to measure or compare to. I think value-based pricing is extremely difficult. And again, I'm going to share also the same base that Peter does, is I'm not an accountant, not a marketing person. I'm just a coach. And out of experience, there's certainly the benchmark and the range that you have to work with in this industry, and I've noticed it in various other service industries as well, is extremely broad. So, so where do you sit inside of that? So I think the first thing someone when you're doing value-based pricing is to understand what that range is. And it can be from $250 to $5,000 an hour. Just understand what the range is and give yourself a chance to place yourself inside that range. And it's going to start off probably pretty low, because even though you might think you're very good at what you do, the market doesn't know you, especially if you haven't established any credibility yet. And so you might go in probably to the low end of that range, but that's how you build up your credibility. And I remember when I started, and in our first year of studying coaching, we actually weren't allowed to charge. So it was also a good time to kind of get your feet in the water, put your toe in the water, and feel the market out. And then as you keep going, I think it's very much about re-evaluating and finding out from your clients, asking, as Peter said, or evaluating, get feedback. So is what we engaged, how much impact did it have on you? Did you value what you had? And they need to be honest with you and to get that feedback. And then as you also gain experience, your clients will also tell you how much credibility you're gaining in the market, whether you are gaining credibility or not. And for that, there is a price that people will pay. You just need to find them. It's not that easy, but it also gives you some insight as to the prices that you can start charging. Then there's one thing that I've learned, and I still do today. It's made me realize how important that initial conversation with your client is. And, it's often in my industry, they'll say they call it an introductory session or a discovery session or whatever you want to call it. And for some reason, somebody's put a time limit to that of 45 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. Some people do 15, but generally what's accepted or acceptable seems to be 30, 45 minutes. Now, if you go over that, I sometimes spend maybe an hour and a half, and I'll sometimes spend maybe 2 sessions of an hour and a half until I'm absolutely clear on what that client wants, and they're absolutely clear on what I can offer them. And then we will discuss. Only then will I put my proposal forward to them. And even then, the proposal is a draft proposal. So I'm not saying this is the way Stephen does it. And then it's a draft proposal for them to have a look at, and it's based off the discussion or discussions that we've had, where we have it very clear, especially for me, if I want to give them the value that they're looking for or the outcomes that they're looking for, I need to clearly understand what it is they're looking for. And it's not always what they tell you first up. And that's with great respect to them. Because as you start unpacking and discussing, you find that actually what they were looking for, it's a lot deeper. Or it goes a lot deeper. So you could, if you don't take the time to find out in the services industry, their needs and what is the impact, if meeting those needs, what impact does it have on their business and on themselves and the people in there, so their business in general. I just think only then can you really give them a closer sort of price to what they're looking for, because now they can start getting a feel of the return on investment. Excuse me. Sorry, excuse me. And, but then they ask you, how do I know? And especially with our coach, where it's in behavioral, it's not tangible, and it's very difficult to see the impact of that maybe until a year later. And this is where it cuts out the BS, if I can call it that, because I have to be very sure that through my own experience and experience with clients, and that's why I always say I'm such a privileged position. I learn so much from my clients about me and what I need to do and how I need to show up and what are they looking for. And I really believe that once you believe in the value that you offer, that the value you offer will make a difference to what your client needs, you better believe it, and you better not be, excuse me, bullshitting yourself, because they will find out very quickly. And so whilst those clients might be willing to pay the price, okay, or the value or investment, as I call it, those clients will also be very quick to get you off the bus if they find out if they find you out. So they'll be willing to invest, but they'll get you out of there very quickly if you're not walking the talk. So I think it's very much client-based. I think you get an idea of, if I look at where I am now compared to 7 years ago, it's chalk and cheese. But it wasn't just, as Peter said, it wasn't just putting down a price and going, oh, well, I'm sure the market will buy this value. It's about putting that and saying, this is the value I can offer. Now I need to go and find out, will the market buyer pay for that value? And that takes a long time. And sometimes we learn the lessons that while we think it's fantastic and it's good, it doesn't matter what we think. It's what the market thinks. And we need to sit through that. And then as you get more experienced, you get closer, you're able to have those discussions. So I think in the service-based industry, it's very much about relationships, about speaking your truth, telling them communicating clearly the value that you're offering, and then being able to back that up. And then finding out, yes, if they will, there's still clients in the value-based industry or service that are looking for the price. And I think, if you start off before you've even discovered their needs, or they tell you about their needs and they haven't even found out what you can offer them, and they say, oh, tell me what your price is. For me, it's a signal that they're not looking for value, they're just looking for price. Because they haven't even heard you out whether you can do that or not. But I don't want to, I'm hogging up too much time here, but yeah, that's for me from the value-based side. That's Stephen from Dare to Be. So it's not easy, but you've got to understand the market. And it's not about you. It's not about me. It's about the client.
Thank you, Stephen. Very interesting observations there. I was thinking about this because I'm in a slightly funny industry where the majority of the money I make, for instance, is dependent on usage of what happens to the work that I do. So, for instance, I can do a video which someone will use. It might be an enormously long video. It might be half an hour. And I probably earn significantly less for that half an hour video that's used as a training video internally for a company than I would for instance, a 20-second commercial that goes out on either on a television station or on a digital streaming service which has paid broadcast behind it, because voiceover tends to almost all voiceover pricing is weighted towards the broadcast market, and that's because the ROI is higher, considerably higher on that side of the business. That's where voiceovers charge more, because the ROI is higher, and that tends to be dictated by there are certain standards. There's industry standards that we use in the business. They may fluctuate a little bit. What does fluctuate is the basic session fee. Again, almost all voiceovers have a basic session fee that they charge for the initial recording and editing time that it takes to get the work ready and correct, and that may vary quite enormously from voiceover to voiceover. It's normally between like the $200 and $400. It tends to be not huge amounts of variation, but I do know VOs who charge up and over 1,000 for it at the very, very, very top of the industry, but they're quite rare. And I was just thinking about in these kind of industries like mine, the differences in price. And I suppose one could say, like, for instance, did the video that I did for this sales letter convert into a certain amount of sales, and then you can use those figures, because I have been thinking about, obviously, like, so that where is the value there? Because you have to have data and you have to have numbers, don't you, to show, like, okay, well, this video converted brought us this amount of business. Then you can use those figures to say, for instance, my voice on this has brought in this amount of business on this commercial, therefore you should use me because I make money. Which is very powerful, and it's something that copywriters use all the time, to say that if they write a sales letter, their sales letter brought this much cash in, and they can charge a high commission on top of that, because they know it brings in the bucks. So very, very interesting topic, and a difficult one, because we're all in such different industries, of course. Lesetja, hello, sir. Please chime in on this.
Mr. Brown, how are you doing? And hello to everyone. Look, it is indeed a very interesting topic. As usual, of course, it's not an easy topic to just come up with answers, as Peter alluded to that. And just one thing that I want to bring in as well, maybe just a question. The two strategies that you mentioned, Peter, the cost plus profit and the value-based strategy. Can you use both of them at the same time? Can you move from one to the other, looking at the product you're selling? Can you fuse them, or can you use this next one, or vice versa, whichever way you wanna use them. So that's just a question that I wanted to ask for the benefit of those that are budding entrepreneurs that are starting to manufacture products, and they then will be able to benefit from this. Which one am I going to use? Can I use both of them? Or if I'm using this one, am I stuck on it for the rest of it? And I think the other point that I want to bring is the difference in the pricing strategy between the product industry and the service industry. You've got to know where you are. With the product industry, it is easy to say, these are the ingredients or the raw materials that are used, and I want to achieve this much profit, so this is what I want to sell the product for. But then, will that product serve your client what they wanted to serve them? I'm going to make a simple example here. My wife does fermented mabele. I don't know if you know mabele, fermented sorghum. Okay. A lot of people love eating the pap or the porridge thereof, but they cannot get it to that sourness. She does that. She's an expert at that. And then people say, look, when we come to your place, this is what we enjoy. Can you do it for us? I'm like, sure. But then how does she price it? Is it from the raw material and all that and a bit of profit pricing? Or is it what the product is doing or satisfying the need of the client? That we need to look at. I know which one we're using, and I sometimes hop and change around, and she fights with me, but you know what? We've got to do it. I mean, you look at convenience stores, look at a can of soda, cold drink. From a convenience store, it's double the price of what you get it from a supermarket. Why do they do that? It's convenience. You can rock up there at 2 o'clock in the morning, you'll find it. They'll sell it to you. So it's convenience. They are close by. While you put in petrol or gas, you can pop into the store and get whatever you need. And I see a lot of convenience stores these days are moving into mini supermarkets because they realize we can make much more money here. So their price differentiation is based on satisfaction of a need of somebody that's driving throughout the night or whatever, or that's putting in gas. You don't want to leave the convenience store and go into a supermarket to buy just a 2-liter of soda. It's easier here. Whether they charge double, it's like, it's convenient for me. I don't have to now go and stop again, which, may take more time. So that's another kind of span in the works that I want to put in. And Mr. Brown, you mentioned something that's very important in my industry, in the media industry, where I compare our radio station and other radio stations as to what are the pricing they charge for advertising, and why do they charge that? And then why are there so much discounts in these ones that are charging a lot of money? Is it because clients are now moving away? Is it because pricing is too high? Is it because the commercial radio stations are now taking the market, and they're like, okay, we need to feature in there still, because I see your big commercial radio stations charging 90% less or 90% discount of what their normal rates are, coming to closer to the rate of a how do you call it, community radio station. And there must be something in there. Is the pricing? Because they generally have got a larger audience, and I think they base their pricing on how many people you get your message to, how many people are listening at this time, and this is how much we'll charge. And that's why there's a difference between the morning show, the daytime show, and the evening show, and the midnight show. The pricing is different. So it's all that you take into consideration when you're doing your pricing model, so that you're not outpriced, you'll be able to sell your product, and you'll be able to make profit. Thank you. This is Lesetja Mokou from Litmok, your business development specialist.
Thank you so much, Mr. Al. Two things I want to comment on are the fact that, like you said, the convenience. People will pay for convenience, and we have a company that would deliver like a frozen truck that drives around that has frozen food in there that you just buy off the truck, and it's convenient. You don't go anywhere, go to the store. This is before stores were delivering like they are post-COVID. And I've been with that company since like 20 plus years. Like my oldest was a little, when I had a little one, my first little one, I paid for the convenience of somebody pulling up to my door and going, do you want? They have meats. They have everything from, your meats to your vegetables to your desserts. So, yeah, I do pay for the convenience. So I definitely think that. And I definitely think that, yes, you can go back and forth. I think a short answer to that is yes, you can profit plus, the two options you can go back and forth with. I can think of mine where I wouldn't think I was actually selling products until this year. And this year I started selling products. I'm a service-based mostly company, but now I actually have products. So, we're still fleshing that out and figuring that out. And I'm grateful for Peter and Rob and and Gareth, because Gareth's doing the back end, helping me do all that. So definitely, for sure. Peter, come on in.
I want to say something that I'll probably say it in the most simplest terms. There's a difference between hearing and listening. You can hear something and pay no mind to it, in one ear, out the other. Listening is about hearing something and listening to what is being said, because you are learning something from what you have heard. So we can't listen, especially in our spaces, or create strategies unless we're actually asking the right questions and listening to the answers. It's not just about hearing what's happening. It's about actually focusing and listening. You ask the right questions. You listen to the answers. You listen to enough answers from different people, and you have what's called a general consensus. This is generally what people feel, think, or are willing to pay for this particular product. So in order to be strategic, you need to ask the right questions and listen to the answers. It may sound like it's really simple. It gets complicated. But we can take something that is complicated and we can break it down and we can simplify every single step. This is something that Sondra is quite familiar with, because this is a journey she's been on recently. And if you break it down enough and you simplify it enough, it actually becomes an easy journey. It's not as complicated, but when you look at it as an overall and you're like, oh my goodness me, this is such a monster, I don't know what to do. Well, it's actually quite simple. Stop, take a breath, ask the relevant questions to the relevant people, get the relevant answers, and you will create a relevant solution. So when it comes to pricing, and Lesetja, you're talking about your wife making this product at home that generates just the perfect sour, a sour that other people just are really battling to get. And when they come into your home and they experience this, it takes them back to when maybe their grandmothers used to make that, and it takes them right back to that feeling of, I want that taste, because that taste takes me back, and I cannot find that taste with any other product because it's just not right. And then they come into your home and they are so pleasantly surprised, and they have this experience. That is an experience that people have. So are they paying for the product, or are they paying for the experience? And you've got to be able to distinguish between the two. If you want to go for a cost plus profit in that space, you will pay for all of your materials, you will put it together, and you will consistently always just make that little bit of profit on top. Very difficult to function in a space like that, because the profit margin on a product like that is not great, because of how you market the product based on the pricing that you put in place. You can take something as simple as a pencil, and you can market the same pencil in two different ways. And in one way, you're going to sell the pencil because it's a pencil. On the second marketing campaign, you're going to sell that pencil because that pencil is a lifesaver, because it wrote down very specific things that led to the saving of lives. Or that pencil, that particular pencil, you've marketed it because it lasts longer and you don't have to sharpen it as much. And people are like, oh my goodness me, a pencil, I don't have to sharpen as much, and it lasts longer, and it's very clear when I write. It's just it's the perfect pencil. And I can make more money on the perfect pencil than I can on exactly the same pencil marketed in a different way. So it's not always about the product. It's about how do we market the product. But in order to market the product, we have to ask the relevant questions so we get the relevant answers, so we can understand how to price our product, which strategy are we going to use, why are we going to use that strategy, and then how are we going to market that product based on all the questions that we've asked and all the answers we've received. So can we use multiple strategies in one space? Of course. You can do what you want. You're an entrepreneur. You can stand on your head and you can do whatever you want. You can skip rope in a meeting. You can do whatever you want. The simplicity of this product that I showed you earlier, how much do you think it cost to make? Not very much at all. Do you think that the price I paid for it is more than what it costs to manufacture? By a lot. What do they sell limited amounts of it, or do they sell in bulk? Because I bought this off Take-A-Lot, so clearly they're selling in bulk. They're selling a lot of this product, but they're not doing a cost plus profit strategy. They're doing a value-based.
All right, I think he went into darkness.
Good. Appears to have gone
Peter
into the
will pay
matrix.
anything for his
the blue
electricity
pill.
now. There we go. No, he won't.
Elevate, are you still there? No, we've gone on to the mega glitch. So while he mega glitches in and out of reality, we'll move on to Hendrick. Hi, Hendrick.
Evening, everyone. Very interesting topic that we're talking about today. I'm commenting due to what Lesetja said. For me, especially when I started the business, my pricing strategy was very simple. It's the formula was demand plus your raw materials plus the work put in, and then you get your price from that. the demand as to how many people want the service that you're offering. Once you know how many people want what you are offering, then you can calculate or quantify the work that you'll have to put in to deliver that particular service. And then once you get your initial price going, it gets to a point where the more you work or the more you service your client base, they will be honest with you and tell you that, look here, Hendrick, I think you are charging way less here. Did you compare with the other guys? Instead of just starting a product and then feeling that I've seen the product, they are selling it for 500 at Woolworth, so I'm going to sell it for 450. Remember, price goes with the trust or your client base. For that particular that particular service provider to get to that price of 500, it took them years. It took us years, for example, in South Africa, knowing that Woolworth is one of the top stores out there. And now we're starting to see that Checkers is actually catching up, if not going to overtake Woolworths at one point. So Checkers did not just decide that, okay, from today we're selling our things at the same price as Woolworth, but they started building brick by brick. They had their services clean, and then they were good to the people that buy from them. And then the people started enjoying going to Checkers to an extent that they said, hey, wait a minute. It seems like now we've reached the pinnacle, or we've reached a stage where people who are coming to us are people of this certain level. I mean, you can bring the best product out there and still not get clients for it. People buy where they know there's history, or where they know, let me give another example. There's Toyota, and then there's Suzuki. Both are car manufacturers. At the present moment, the same Toyota that you get at the same car you get at Toyota, which goes for maybe 500, you'll get it at Suzuki. The very same. The only difference is the badge. However, the price is not the same. So you need to put in the work. You need to start small until people know you as either being reliable, or someone who gives them quality, or someone. You need to be known for something to be able to justify the price that you are giving. So that's it from me. Hendrick from Teresano Earth Movers, your lifting and rigging specialist in Leidenburg.
That is so true, Hendrick. Your reputation is important, and that's why testimonials and reviews and things to back you up what you do, because that's important. And word of mouth gets around. good and bad. So I always say that you can't please everybody, so you got to take it with a grain of salt too. So not everybody's your customer, not every transaction is going to be 5 stars. Your goal as a service provider can be that, but that doesn't mean you're not going to have that person that no matter what you do, you can move the heavens and the earths and they'll still give you a 1 star. So you got to take that with a grain of salt too. But yes, keep building up that reputation and doing that, and Gareth and Kelsey, who are hanging out with me on YouTube, we're talking about that. The Gareth's like, we have to review so that we can constantly grow and learn the value that we bring versus the investment versus the client's expectations. You know, and then Kelsey was using water. You know, a bottle of water in the store is one price. You go to a concert or a venue and it's 4 times the price because usually you can't bring in drinks. So you got to buy their, you got to buy their drinks. Same thing with amusement parks. So definitely availability is also another part of pricing. If you're the only person, you know, selling voiceover in the UK, then of course you can price higher because you're the only British voiceover actor, you know, and things like that. So coaches, you know, they can be dime a dozen. So what makes you stand out? I say because I'm very relationship based and because I also look at your life and your businesses makes me unique in the coaching world. Because I'm all about making sure I do something a little bit different. And so on and so forth. So Mr. Levy, come on and we'll take you and then we'll start wrapping up. Go ahead.
I just wanted to, you know, I think so much has been said, and it comes down to relationships are so important and building their credibility. And whether it's product-based or service-based, both, because I don't know how many of us have been into stores where we go to the discount stores, but you don't get any service, and then you're prepared to travel somewhere else where you get good service and you know you're paying more for it. So I think it comes down to relationships, and something that stood out for me is experience. People will pay for experience as well. And in answer to Lesetja's question in terms of this wonderful recipe that his wife makes, that she's been given feedback on, that people love it. So they've given her the feedback already. Now, I would imagine, just if I understood Lesetja correctly, that they can go and also get this organ somewhere else. But they love hers because she's got whatever she has got, this magic touch and the taste and so on. So for me, she shouldn't be charging the same as everywhere else is charging, because that's special. She's creating a special experience for those people that have told her it's not her. They've given her the feedback. And so that for experience, you need to pay. You cannot say, I have this is incredible to Lesetja's wife, love this, much better than what I'm buying elsewhere, but you must charge me the same price. It's like going to BMW and telling them, I love your BMW, but I can only afford a Volkswagen. Can you give me at the price for a Volkswagen? Then they're going to tell you no. So I think it's also, yeah, there's so much that goes into pricing besides just the costing of the product or the services. What do you offer outside that makes people feel special? Of course, there must be a return on investment. Even if you do make them feel special, you're not giving them a return on investment. It also doesn't work. But I think if you can get the combination of both, it will certainly enhance your price. And right in the beginning, the question was asked, what is the I think Peter asked that, what's the differentiator? Okay. And I got one answer to that, to all of us sitting here, is you. I cannot, even if I try to be Sondra, I cannot be Lesetja. I cannot be James, and I cannot be Hendrick. I can only be Stephen. And there's some people that will relate to Stephen, and there's some people that won't. And there's some people that will relate to Lesetja, and there's some people that won't. Lesetja needs to go after those people that relate to him. And we just need to be mindful of that. There are 8 billion people in the world, and we don't all get on with everyone, and we don't relate to everyone. So, yeah, but I really think, Lesetja, if you're always making something special, she must charge something special. And I'm not saying rip it out the market, but you can't go and get that, ask me to price the same thing that you're absolutely in love with something that you don't really enjoy, or it's just there. We cannot, they've told her, we can't get what you make. It's special, and we shouldn't devalue our own selves as well. And case studies are brilliant, besides testimonials, because that's it gives a measure, even in the service industry. But I'm going to go now.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stephen. And thank you, everybody who contributed this evening. Everyone having very interesting perspectives on how we can, how people can approach this tricky topic because it is always something that, you know, at the end of the day, people want to get the right price and they want to get a good price. And achieving that and getting and reading the market correctly takes time and skill. And hopefully that's given some people on how they can think about approaching their own pricing going forward. So thank you for everybody for joining us again. I've been James Brown Voice, your voiceover with soul, and thanks for being with us this evening. Same time next week. Sondra?
Yes, yes. Hour always flies by. Peter had Wi-Fi crashed, so that was his issue. But my name is Sondra Ray. I'm the owner of Get It Done Coaching, and I help you get your goals reached by creating bite-sized action plans and then holding you accountable. So we want to give a shout out to Susan and Somerville. They help on the back end with show notes, turning things into podcasts and everything else. So grateful for them and grateful for Kelsey and Gareth who hung out with us on the live YouTube show. Please make sure you share, subscribe, and invite people to come watch us live. I love interacting with people and we really want to grow that. So we will see you guys same place, same time next week. And as Mrs. Nastine always says, we wish that your wildest endeavors come true. Have a great day, everybody.